have your children understand when they look at a plate of food, it's not just a plate of food. Every decision they make from plate to in their mouth to their body has 75 trillion consequences on the cells in their bodies.
What we've done is we've farmed with a pH disease and pharmaceutical dependency. We farmed it. We're not in a position where we should be shocked. We're in a position that's predictable. It's been done time and time again through our history. What we need to do is we need to pivot. And this is where the partnership that needs to come out of this, and I think Farm Hero could be a central focus in that, is we need to farm with an F, not a PH, farm health and healing and wellness.
Welcome to Prescribed by Dr. Nathan Goodyear, where integrative oncology meets holistic healing. This podcast is your home for the latest in innovation, exploration, and elevation in all areas of integrative oncology, medicine, health, wellness, and beyond. Join me and a host of other innovators as we go from practicing to prescribing. Your daily dose of wellness begins now.
Dr. Nathan Goodyear, welcome back to another Prescribed by Dr. Nathan Goodyear podcast. This weekend in the Metabolic Health Day Conference, it's becoming emotional.
Yeah.
You know, I think Yachty said he cried on stage yesterday, and I was talking to Gail, from Kansas just a second ago. I started to get, verklempt.
Yeah.
Going back to Saturday Night Live, started getting emotional because we're at a moment. And by the way, this is my dearest friend, the host and director of Farm Hero, which, by the way, should be a Netflix documentary. It should be winning awards because it reconnects people to the source of healing.
Yeah.
And that's farmers. And in Farm Hero, Laura, you take people to the source of healing and you show them what it's really like. Because I was sitting there talking with Gail, and I started off and I said, tell people what a farmer is. Tell people what a day of a farmer looks like. I said, because right now, 84% of the populace is urban.
Right.
They don't know. They just don't know.
Right.
And so when you talk to them about soil, they don't have context other than what TV and Hollywood shows them. Okay, fine. Let's play that game. And that's what you do at Farm Hero. But it's not that you're telling a fictitious scripted story. It's true reality TV.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
real life.
Welcome.
Thank
back.
you.
We had
Thank
such
you.
a good time. We had such a good time last time.
We did.
And that weekend or that meeting where I met you, and then that podcast, and then Yachty, and I think I told you this last night, it changed me. It really did. And it's hard to describe. I'm a doctor of people, and taking care of people with cancer, I stepped away from leadership at a clinic because I knew we weren't doing enough. Cancer is always going to be there. Mm-hmm. It's a disease of lifestyle. But the best strategy to cancer is to prevent it.
Agreed.
And as a doctor, we're not trained to do that. We need farmers. And I think what you're doing with Farm Hero is going to elevate the voice and awareness, which I think is critical and key in the ability to build a movement that is desperately needed.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So hats off. So Farm Hero Season 1.
Yes.
It's out. It's been out.
It's on reruns. We're now producing Season 2.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And I saw the
trailers.
Sneak,
this
trailer,
is all.
and it looks good. So
Good.
Where'd you go? I know where you went, but I want you to say it.
I just got back from Africa 3 weeks ago. So we visited with the OG, the opinion leader on the planet, regenerative agriculture, holistic management, Alan Savory.
Oh, he is a doctor. He's a doctor of the soil.
Totally. I mean, I can't give, it's a must watch. And I want to sit back just a little bit because you touched on when we first met. I want to thank you because that was a game changer for me too. That was a life changer for me when, doing this podcast and that concept of farmer more important than physician?
Yeah.
For a child, for a healthy person. I clarified myself. I was put on the spot, and on the panel, she said, this might be controversial, but Laura, you've been quoted as saying, knowing your farmer is more important than knowing your doctor. And I clarified, it was a fun conversation, but if you're sick, doctor, farmer, patient, walking that path together. If you're not sick, prevention that you touched on, know your farmer. Have your children know the farmer. Have your children understand when they look at a plate of food, it's not just a plate of food that, I hope it tastes good, shove it in my mouth, go and play. Every decision they make from plate to in their mouth to their body has 75 trillion consequences on the cells in their bodies. So thank you for having me back, because that first interview was really life-changing for me as well.
Well, I'm a doctor. I'm a doctor of disease. Okay. I say that recognizing that most of you go, no, I want to be well. Yes. That's why I'm here. That's why Laura's doing what she's doing, because that word disease literally means lack of wellness. Yeah. And so disease will always be there. There will always be accidents. There will always be need for a doctor of disease to be there. We're not saying that we don't need doctors. Right. What we're saying is we need less of them, not less in number, less need, less use. Laura, since a lot ideas go through my mind sometime, and I love words. Oh, I love words. What we've done is we've farmed with a PH disease and pharmaceutical dependency. We farmed it. We're not in a position where we should be shocked. Right. We're in a position that's predictable. It's been done time and time again through our history. What we need to do is we need to pivot. And this is where the partnership that needs to come out of this, and I think Farm Hero could be a central focus in that, is we need to farm with an F, not a PH, farm health and healing and wellness. And and we talked about this with this, instead of writing a prescription that fuels pharmacies, why don't we prescribe physicians as doctors? By the way, the word physician in Hebrew, Rapha, means healer. Healer. That's why I say farmers are doctors, because they're physicians of the soil, of the land. They heal it. Well, they can. Right. Why don't we fuel farms and farmers? I think we can.
I think we can as well. And I think, the current system, I think we get what we pay for. We get what we've created as far as the industrial model of continual need for pharmaceuticals. This may not make it in because controversial, but I'm not wagging my finger at big pharma, and I'm not wagging my finger at big food, because enemies do not help this situation. We need to make friends. We need to have conversation. We need to have ecosystems, and they're part of it. And since I talked to you last, I did a deep dive into conventional agriculture. Because here I am saying we want to convert to regenerative agriculture as fast as possible, putting into the spotlight young regen ag farmers, older regen ag farmers, legacy regen ag farmers. But we didn't give any voice to conventional, not traditional, and conventional industrial ag. So I went and visited one in Wisconsin, and they want to do the right thing. Yeah. And they're farmers. So I don't want to take that away that everybody who's not regen ag is this faceless monster who's doing it wrong.
Well said.
Yeah. So since I've been with you, it's, wait a minute, practice what I preach, right? Because early in my career, I was converting to alternative fuels, but I never made enemies with fossil fuel side. There's a role for all of us. So since I met with you last, giving a voice to some of the industrial farmers and their challenges and their deep passion for the environment. So again, I think right now we're at the most hopeful time I've ever been since starting Farm Hero, that we're all going to come together with agreements, setting disagreements aside, priorities, aligning. So that's what I'm hopeful for, that because we have 900 million acres of farmland in America. Still, less than 1.5% is regenerative agriculture, following the check. Less than 3% organic. Guys, we got a lot of work to do. So that's where I am right now, that super hopeful, a lot of work to do, but coming together as Team Humanity, which has really come up on my radar since I got back from Africa. We're going to solve this. So
we have to.
I'm full of hope right now.
Yeah. we have to.
Yeah.
We have to.
We have to
because we're at a precipice of opportunity or collapse.
Correct.
And so, we were placed in time for a time such as this.
Yes.
And so those that stand up and say, send me, I'll take it. I'll do it. But it's finding collaboration. It's finding corroboration. It's finding allies.
Yeah.
And it's understanding, and I think you said that so eloquently, Laura. It's building bridges.
Yeah.
Now, that doesn't mean we build bridges with everybody. It
That's
means
right.
we reach across the aisle,
Mm-hmm.
and if they slap the hand, if they turn the
That's
back,
right.
well, that's on them.
Right.
We tried. But you know what I found is when we try to build bridges, there are more people that equally want to try. Now, there's going to be definitely some that don't.
A small
that's
percentage,
just a part of it.
right? A small percentage, we will shut the door on. Like I said, always leave the door open. A very small percentage, the door is shut.
Yeah.
Based on their behaviors and actions.
This is why I think messaging, and this is why I think what you're doing is so important in Farm Hero, is because the force vector of change, let's be honest, it's not me. It's not a doctor. I think farmers are more integral to that. It's the people.
Yeah.
It's the listeners,
Yes.
the viewers, the people scrolling on social media, the people who are going to buy the food, the people that are going to pay the insurance premiums. They are the force vectors of change.
Yes.
The problem I think we have right now, they don't know that we're at a precipice. They don't know that. I don't even think they know what a farmer is,
Right.
for most of them. And I don't think they even understand the connection of a farm to disease or a farm from disease back to wellness. I've been so encouraged by talking to two farmers here. Don Huber's sitting there in the background, and I keep getting emotional here. People think I'm getting hormonal and I have issues and I need to see a doctor. But these are people that they are history now.
Yeah.
And farmers are that way.
Right.
But we must come out of this not with inspiration, not with emotion, but we must come out of this with action. Because I think that's the way we sustain that to something that does make a change. But it has to involve the people.
Right.
And that's why I think messaging and what you say in the stories of Farm Hero is so important. So, I know you probably can't let out the bag a lot of what's going to happen in season 2 with Farm Hero, but where is it going? First of all, do a recap on Farm Hero season 1.
You bet.
And then tell us kind of where you want to take it in Farm Hero season number 2. And honestly, what can we do to increase the messaging and the reach of Farm Hero?
Thank you. So season 1 was 9 episodes all in America. We went from California, Kansas, Georgia, New York, Ohio, Colorado, Iowa. Mm-hmm. So it was all about American regenerative ag farmers, young, legacy, Will Harris, Ray Archuleta. So season 1 really laid the groundwork. It was really a proof of concept. And we succeeded. We've gotten great feedback. It's been on EarthX TV, DirecTV, Fubo. So people are watching, people are commenting. There's a Farm Hero bump. When you're on Farm Hero, I went to White Oak Pastures and bought more beef. I went to Parker Pastures in Colorado. And that's exactly what we want. Find out where your local regen ag farmers are. Give them a bump. Stay committed. that's what they can do. Dollars.
They're the celebrity.
Farmers being sexy. I talked about this in season 1. Yes, I know. I got.
That's a spinoff. Is that it? Farmers are sexy.
Farmers are sexy.
I can see a calendar. I can see a calendar.
Oh my gosh, we just came up with the best idea. But yes, they are becoming rock stars, just like about a decade and a half ago, where chefs, the whole Food Network and the chefs becoming stars. Farmers, that's what's happening now with farmers. But we need to be careful because, marketing is great. And I talk a lot to college students and they think it's fine. The food system's fine. I shop at Whole Foods. I buy my local Tabasco or my spices. It's such a small percentage. So marketing is big. Regenerative ag, cage-free eggs. So they feel like because they're falling under the marketing, communication.
I paid my dues by going to Whole Foods.
That's right. It's like, guys, here's the reality of the situation. So that's where we have to be careful, is to make sure we're being honest, to make sure we're looking at the numbers, to make sure we're looking at how far we're going. Where do we want to be? I think for me, Farm Hero shows the ideal that we're working towards. Here's where we're at now. Okay, what are we doing? Why are we doing this? And what does it look like in the future? And that's why I love Farm Hero, because it gives the story and the visuals of what are we working towards and why. So to tease on season 2, the first episodes are with Joel Salatin. So from the Omnivore's Dilemma, where he first really got on the national scene. Just an amazing man, phenomenal man, Joel Salatin. And then we end with Alan Savory in Zimbabwe. So at his African Center for Holistic Management. So I couldn't be more thrilled. But what we're doing, again, the whole team humanity, because we went from season 1, American only, to season 2, American to international Africa, and season 3, believe it or not.
So you're already, the idea is percolating of season 3.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Season 3, all international.
Wow.
All international. Because as we've done this, it's like we went from, okay, here's America. Here's what we're going to accomplish. Oh, wait, here's Africa. Now, and I'm sure that's with you too, as you take responsibility for things, before the idea of taking on international agriculture was like, too big. And now it's like, let's do it. The planet has become smaller. And as our responsibility has come up, it's just a 15-hour plane ride from, DC to Cape Town. Why not? So now we're really looking at team humanity and what we can learn from each other. And it's a real lot. It's a real lot. Just being in Africa, what they're doing in Zimbabwe particularly, what we can learn in America is a lot. And that's what I'm hoping with season 2, that we get that traction of team humanity.
Wow. Yeah, because it's almost like we need, what will happen is it's like you come to a conference like this and you connect and it fuels the passion and it drives, the push to put that into practice. And then you go home.
Right.
And you get busy.
Right.
And life and everything that comes with it comes on board. One of the things I think that we're going to have to navigate, and this is where I think it's very important, is how do we take what you do with Farm Hero and how do we take what's being done here and how do we create something that is sustainable, transformative, and consistent?
I love that question because I have an answer.
Oh, wow. Right here, the answer to our future problems. Wow.
For me, it's spirituality. Because at the end of the day, you wake up, you go to sleep. For me, spirituality never goes away. And tying in what we eat, how we nourish our body, how we treat others, how we work with the soil, how we work in our community, can kind of be wrapped up in this spirituality viewpoint. And when we did an episode in Nebraska, I think that's right, Kansas. It was the Iowa tribe of Kansas and Nebraska, so it's a slightly confusing.
Is this in season 2?
That was season 1.
Okay.
So you can go back.
Okay.
Season 1, the Kansas episode with Ray Archuleta.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, I was talking to the chief, one of the tribal leader chiefs on the property on the tribal land. And, it took a while for this to percolate with me, but here we are, where he said the way they treat the soil and the microorganisms in the soil, those are their ancestors. So it's a whole different look at the life in the soil, the life below our feet, the treatment of, putting chemicals that will kill onto your ancestors gives you a whole another look at it, right? So that was very spiritual for me. So whether you're, call yourself Christian, faith-based, it doesn't matter for me. Some people say their religion is nature. Fantastic. Fantastic. Because that separation from food, agriculture, animals, from spirituality, from the core of our beingness, that separation makes it real easy to turn a blind eye and to not look at the pain and suffering and here's where I cry, to not look at the pain and suffering that we've caused to animals, to plants, to microorganisms in the soil. It makes it real easy to turn a blind eye. And again, because I did it too. And then when I put it together, the allness of all kind of viewpoint, it's like, that's what drives me. That's what I'm saying. So that's what drives me. I hope it drives others to look at it in that way. The spirituality, the connection, the past cultures, the ancestors, whether, it's real to you or not, exist in some way, shape, or form. And how are we living our life in reverence to that?
Yeah, so, I'm a person of faith. I'm a Christian. I don't put that out there, but, in the Bible, we're taught to be good stewards.
Yes.
Good stewards of the land. And in fact, in an old book called Leviticus, it says, give it rest. Mm. And then the next chapter, it says, if you don't give it rest, I'll take you out of it and it will get its rest.
Right.
And so for me, serve your fellow man. That means serve those that can benefit from the land. That is the soil. We are created in the context of an ecosystem. We tend to be so prideful and think that our ecosystem is the only ecosystem, but yet we're just one component in this ecosystem. But it's a component that can fuel the ecosystem for life, or it can fuel death.
Right.
And that's why I say we're farming with pH disease. Whether that probably didn't start out with intentionality,
right,
but chemotherapy was born out of war. Mm. So why should we be surprised if collateral damage happens with that? We're not. It's called off-target toxicity. That's why we need to try to pivot away from that in cancer treatment. The GMO, that industry, and Dr. Huber's going to be able to comment on that more, that was equally born out of war. Yeah. That was equally born out of war. So just as chemotherapy and radiation and surgery were refined or born out of war, that process and product also was equally. So what we have is a disease model that has perpetuated every aspect of our society, including agriculture.
Yes.
And so what we need to do is go back to a healing strategy, which again, that's what the word physician means. And what you're doing is that word doctor in Latin dossier means teacher. You're teaching people and making that connection in a story form which connects to their heart so that they can learn and be aware and learn. Right. And then from that standpoint, obviously from a marketing perspective, you always have to look at that. What's the call to action? So let's focus on that because we're fixing to have to jump to the panel.
Yes.
But I want this just from Laura Zaspel.
Okay.
What's the call to action coming out of this, going into season 2 with Farm Hero? What's the call to action?
So the call to action is find your place in the ecosystem. We talk about ecosystems all the time. And, in America, because and I'm an entrepreneur, so I get it. This is my idea. I'm going to make it big, head down, work. In Africa, because so many people are in agriculture, it's about clubs. It's about community. It's about sharing. It's about plugging into an ecosystem. A farmer in Zimbabwe that has 1,000 chickens can go from poverty to middle class like that. From $1 a day to $10 a day, 10xing their income based on 1,000 chickens, plugging into an ecosystem. They share data, structure. So my call to action is find your place in the ecosystem, and it's the agriculture is part of it. Prevention is part of it. Medicine is part of it. You break your arm, you better go find the best doctor, right? Yeah. It's so adore MDs, naturopaths who are helping. So if it's homesteading, if it's you have an apartment with a pot, get to know how things grow. The call to action is appreciation of soil, plants, animals, human health, planet health. See your part in team humanity and do something about it. And honestly, it could be, if you're a parent, does your child know when they eat an apple compared to when they eat Fritos, what that does to their mitochondria? They should. I hear over and over again, oh, if I only knew that as a child. So that's part of my passion, is instead of letting this next generation get to a certain age and say, how come nobody ever taught me that? We want to teach them that. What happens to your body when you eat something? So it's a big call to action. Find your place in the ecosystem. Reach out because now, whatever the idea is, I want to start a gardening club. I want to go to my child's school and help with the culinary program and the nutrition in a public school. I have connections for you. I know who's doing this. I want hospital food to be better. I know who's doing it. I can connect you. I want senior living nutrition programs to be better. I know who I can point you to. So farmhero.com and any of the forms on the website come to me and a team. And you can cut this out if you want, but Laura at serendipityfood.com is my main email address. Laura at serendipityfood.com. And there's a lot of meaning behind that word, and I'm sure you know.
Yeah, we're not cutting that out.
Okay. No, I appreciate that.
This is true and this is authentic. We have nothing to hide here.
Okay.
Right now, patients don't trust doctors. I say this repetitively because it reminds me. A Journal of American Medical Association survey published last year showed that 40% of patients trust doctors and hospitals. I was shocked it's that high.
Yeah.
I don't think it is. The only way we can restore the trust is, I think, speak truth to that. And I think truth involves the farmers. And by speaking truth, we can restore trust. Because if we don't, that trust will dwindle away.
Right.
But likewise, that will enable us to serve our fellow neighbor.
Yeah.
Take care of your neighbor, take care of your local community, because it begins there with your friend, your family,
That's right.
your local community member. And that's something that if you take care of local community, guess what? You create a microenvironment that protects and buffers. It's going to sustain and support itself. But if we allow corruption to sneak in, or we take power away from the local community, which is what's happened, now what we have is a system that's not sustaining, and we see basically the death of rural America.
Yes.
And that's why people are flocking to the urbans, and we're seeing death of the community.
That's right.
But I think farmers are the key to restore community. And so I think it's much bigger than that. And so what that then provides, guess what? Legacy.
Yes.
It's legacy.
Yes.
So I think where we're working, Laura, is legacy. But we're at that point of trying to tell the story to build trust through truth.
Yes.
So we want to get there. But I think we're just in that reflection moment. And we need to figure out how to move beyond it, and move beyond it on a very grand scale.
Well, I thank you, because the last few decades, we've been fueling and feeding error as opposed to truth when it comes to agriculture in particular, so that you're giving me, farmers, a spotlight means the world to me, because this is fueling truth. And now is the time.
I'm a doctor taking care of patients. And if I don't bring nutrition in, if I don't bring healthy, healing food in, and that means if it comes from a farm that doesn't provide that, you have to keep carrying it back. I'm downstream.
Yeah.
I have to go upstream to where either the disease is coming from or where the health is coming from. And if I see disease coming from upstream, I have an obligation as a doctor to serve those patients. And I have to not just write a prescription, stay in a system because I'm stuck. I will not one day be on my bed and say, what if? I will not live that way. So that means if I have to go upstream, if we have to go upstream to correct the disease and death that's coming down and turn that back to life, I'll do what I have to do that.
Well,
because that's what we have to do.
We do. And we're warriors. Don't you forget it. You're a hero too. Don't forget it. What you're doing. Absolutely.
Pale in the comparison to farmers. No way.
Well, what's next for us? I have a proposition.
I change the world, transform the world.
Change the world.
That's right. So let's just keep it small, right?
Let's bring it down just a little bit. I'd like to do an episode in season 2. I want to squeeze it in on Naisha, on Arizona, on Yachty, and on you. So let's coordinate afterwards, okay?
Absolutely.
Okay.
That'd be my honor.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Well, Laura, again, it's kind of been an emotional weekend, and I hate to have it end because I think it's, you see things in retrospect work up to a moment.
Yeah.
And you never know how life is going to throw you curveballs, doors are going to open, and stuff like that. And taking care of patients with cancer is one of the most honorable things in the world. Seeing patients heal from cancer is one of the most honorable things in the world. But we're losing that battle.
Yeah.
Cancer's getting ahead. And a part of that's our own doing. And so it's time to visit those things that are our own undoing. And it doesn't matter that we necessarily throw blame. Yes, that'll come. We need to build solutions that will provide healing today and in the future, because I'm going to be gone one day. You're going to be gone one day. My kids, my daughter is standing behind the camera, my grandson. That's why this is important.
Yes.
It's our legacy. And let's leave a legacy of one that heals and promotes wellness, life, not one that promotes disease. I'm Dr. Nathan Goodyear. This is the Prescribed by Dr. Nathan Goodyear podcast, and we'll see you on the next podcast.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Prescribed Podcast. All references supporting this episode can be found on the prescribed.com website. That's pre-scribe.com. To get your next dose of medical innovation, make sure you subscribe to Prescribe. We'll see you for your next refill.